Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we begin this video, don't forget to give it a like. It truly encourages us to keep sharing beneficial content, inshallah. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our future videos on faith, spirituality, and Islamic reminders. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless you and enjoy the video. Sometimes, Allah speaks to your heart in ways that words cannot describe. You don't hear a loud voice or see a flashing sign from the sky, but there's a quiet consistency, a pattern in your life that keeps pointing you back to the same person. And while the world may call it coincidence, the believer knows nothing is truly random in the design of Allah. When Allah keeps confirming the same person as your spouse, it often begins with subtle spiritual signs that feel deeply personal and impossible to ignore. You may find yourself dreaming about this person repeatedly, not in a disturbing or random way, but in a peaceful, reassuring way that seems to deliver a message straight to your soul. These dreams may bring feelings of calmness or clarity, often accompanied by symbolic imagery that your heart somehow understands. Allah can use dreams to guide believers, just as He did for His prophets and righteous servants. Though we do not base our entire faith on dreams, we must not ignore them entirely when they come with peace and consistency. Beyond dreams, Allah uses moments in your daily life to remind you of this person. You may open a random book or scroll through a social media post only to find something that reflects your exact emotional state regarding them. It might be a message about divine timing, patience, or even specific characteristics that describe them perfectly. These random messages seem too precise, too perfectly timed, to be pure chance. Your heart feels something deeper, as though Allah is gently nudging you to pay attention. Another undeniable sign is the tranquility that settles in your heart when you think of this person. Even in moments of doubt, hardship, or separation, your heart feels drawn back. Not out of desperation, but because there's a spiritual magnetism you can't explain. This sakina, or spiritual calm, isn't about passion or worldly obsession. It's a deep-rooted peace that reflects something sacred. It doesn't fade with time or confusion. In fact, when you try to move on or force yourself to forget, Allah seems to remind you again, through a name, a location, or a memory that appears without invitation. It's as if your soul is being recalibrated by Allah each time it begins to drift away from what's meant for you. Istikhara, the prayer for divine guidance, is often misunderstood as a request for a dramatic sign. But Allah's answer to this prayer is more often a change in the heart's direction. You may notice that after sincerely making istikhara, your heart leans more toward this person, even if nothing has changed externally. Or perhaps the doors around other options begin to close quietly, while your thoughts of this individual become more vivid and hopeful. Allah does not need to rearrange the sky to show you His will. Sometimes, He simply clears the fog inside your chest, so you can see what was always there. The consistent reappearance of this person in your life, even after periods of silence or distance, is another form of confirmation. It may seem like you lose touch, but then they come back, not by your effort, but by Allah's. It could be through a message, a mutual contact, or even a shared moment in a spiritual setting like the masjid. These moments often come when your heart is at peace, when you're no longer obsessing or chasing. That's how you know. It's not your own longing creating this connection, but something higher at work. In the life of a believer, nothing is trivial. Every sign, every pattern, every gentle reminder could be part of Allah's mercy guiding you toward what is best. When you keep seeing this person's name, hearing similar advice in different forms, or being drawn to make dua for them without knowing why, you are being invited to look deeper. Allah is the turner of hearts. He alone knows what your soul needs and who was created to walk beside you. These signs are not meant to create anxiety, but to build trust. Trust that Allah knows how to speak to your heart in ways the world cannot understand. You don't need everyone else to agree with what you're feeling. What matters most is that you remain connected to Allah, seeking His pleasure above all. If He continues to place this person in your path, in your thoughts, in your prayers, then take a moment and ask, what is Allah trying to teach me? What is He showing me about myself, about patience, about love that is sacred and not superficial? Because true love in Islam is not about obsession. It is about purpose, partnership, and peace. And when that is what your heart feels, again and again, you can trust that the signs are not random. They are divine whispers from the one who writes every story, including the one where two souls are meant to meet, not just in this world, but in Jannah, by His will. There are moments in life when you feel so sure that someone is meant for you, when all the signs seem to line up and the heart feels at ease. But then, silence, distance, delay. And in those moments of stillness, you begin to wonder, Allah truly wants this person for me? Why is it taking so long? Why isn't it happening now? This is where many lose hope, not realizing that the delay is not denial. In fact, sometimes the delay is one of the strongest confirmations from Allah that this union is being prepared with divine precision. Allah attests what He loves. When you've received undeniable signs about someone, it doesn't always mean the path will be instantly smooth. Instead, you might be placed in a period of waiting, a divine pause. Not because you're forgotten, but because Allah is refining your soul and theirs. True love, in the eyes of Allah, is never rushed. It's intentional. He may be teaching you to detach from your ego, to surrender your timeline, and to trust His wisdom above your desires. During this delay, both people may go through individual journeys of purification, growth, and maturity. You may notice that the longer you wait, the more self-aware you become. You start to recognize areas in your heart that need healing. Maybe you had unhealthy attachments. Maybe you were idealizing this person too much. Maybe your intentions weren't as pure as you thought. And as you heal, you begin to understand the deeper purpose behind the delay. It wasn't about withholding love. It was about preparing you to love in a way that pleases Allah. This preparation process is not always easy. It can feel like heartbreak, confusion, or even complete separation. But if Allah keeps bringing that person back into your thoughts and prayers despite the distance, it's a sign that something sacred is unfolding behind the scenes. And the beauty is, the more you surrender to Allah's timing, the more peaceful your heart becomes. You stop striving, chasing, or forcing outcomes. Instead, you begin to focus on becoming the right person, not just finding the right person. And that is exactly what Allah wants from you. Sometimes, what you want is not yet aligned with who you are. Allah may want to elevate your character before He grants you the responsibility of a spouse. He may want to build your patience, your resilience, your tawakkul, trust in Him. Because marriage is not just about love. It's about leadership, mercy, and spiritual accountability. And the same applies to the person you're waiting for. Maybe they're still learning to pray consistently. Maybe they're still healing from their past. Maybe they're not yet ready to love in a way that honors your soul. So instead of rushing, Allah delays. Because He doesn't want a temporary union. He wants a lasting one. This period of waiting becomes your training ground. It's where you learn to love without attachment. to pray for someone without expecting immediate results, to care for someone's soul without needing constant validation. And that is a high level of spiritual maturity, to desire something deeply, but to submit it entirely to Allah. You begin to understand that the value of something is not in how quickly it comes, but in how aligned it is with divine wisdom when it does. Even in the waiting, Allah continues to confirm. You may find that every time you begin to doubt, something small happens to remind you again. A message, a verse, a conversation, and suddenly, your heart remembers the peace it once felt. These little confirmations are like divine checkpoints, encouraging you to keep going, to stay faithful, to trust the unseen. Because the delay is not silent. Allah is always speaking through the circumstances He allows in your life. When Allah delayed the reunion of Prophet Yusuf and Saz and his father Yaqub, as it wasn't out of cruelty. It was so that the hearts could grow, the lessons could be learned, and the reward could be greater. When their reunion finally happened, it was filled with tears, gratitude, and spiritual completion. In the same way, your delay may feel long now, but it's working in your favor. Allah doesn't just give love. He gives love that is timed perfectly, rooted deeply, and sustained eternally. So if you're in a season of waiting, don't rush it. Use it, grow in it, worship in it. Because when the time is right, what is written for you will be undeniable. And when it arrives, you'll look back and realize that the delay wasn't a punishment. It was a protection. It was Allah shielding your heart until it was ready to carry the love He destined for you. There is a kind of certainty that doesn't need loud confirmations or constant signs. It lives quietly in the heart. A stillness, a peace, an inner calm that whispers, "This is right." When Allah has written someone for you, one of the most powerful signs is the sakina, the tranquility of the soul that surrounds the thought of them. You might not have all the answers. The future may still look unclear, but deep within, there is no fear, no restlessness, no anxiety, just peace. And in that peace, Allah is speaking. When a connection is truly from Allah, it doesn't create confusion in the heart. Instead, it clears it. Even if there are external doubts, tests, or delays, your soul keeps returning to the same place. Not because of attachment or obsession, but because something in your fitra, your natural spiritual state, recognizes the harmony. You're not trying to convince yourself. You're not wrestling with inner conflict. The more you surrender to Allah, the more you feel this person's presence in your life as something sacred, even in their absence. This peace isn't the same as excitement or emotional highs. It's not passion that fades. It's stability. It's knowing, without needing constant reminders. When your heart stops racing and starts resting, that's when you know Allah is involved. That kind of rest can't be forced. It can't be faked. It only comes from Allah aligning your soul with what is meant for you. Often, this sign shows up in the still moments, in your dua, in your sujood, in those moments where you are closest to Allah. You mention them and you feel no guilt, no shame, no desperation. Just trust. You feel safe thinking about them, and your prayers feel more sincere. That's not a coincidence. That is a reflection of a heart that is aligned with the will of its Creator. Even when things on the outside seem uncertain, when circumstances change or people interfere, your soul remains calm. That's because your connection to the idea of this person isn't based on circumstance. It's rooted in tawakkul. You're not holding on because you fear losing them. You're at peace, even if it takes time, because you believe in the wisdom of Allah's timing. When Allah gives you that kind of peace, It's not a small thing. It is a mercy. And it's often one of the strongest confirmations you can receive. Not every love story begins with fireworks. Sometimes it begins with quiet certainty. And when that certainty stays, despite the weight, despite the noise, despite the unknown, then know this: your heart is being prepared for something greater, something pure, something written by the one who knows you better than you know yourself. There are moments when you begin to question everything. You felt the signs, you've experienced the peace, but still, nothing has changed outwardly. And then, just when doubt tries to creep in, something unexpected happens. A friend says something that sounds like a direct answer to your hidden thoughts. You hear a khutbah, a lecture, or even a simple video online that mirrors exactly what your heart has been wrestling with. That's not chance. That's external confirmation. When Allah wants to reassure your heart, He often sends signs not only through your soul, but through the world around you. Sometimes it's as simple as hearing that person's name in random conversations, or being reminded of them through events, places, or phrases that carry deep meaning only to you. You could be walking through a crowd and hear a stranger say something that feels like it was meant for your situation. Or perhaps someone who has no idea about your connection to this person suddenly gives you advice that fits your exact emotional state. Allah uses people as vessels of His guidance. Even those unaware of your story may be delivering part of your answer. There may be moments when someone close to you, like a parent, a sibling, or a trusted friend, mentions that this person seems right for you, without you prompting them. And when it happens more than once, with people from different places, you begin to realize Allah is aligning not just your heart, but the hearts around you. These confirmations are not meant to overwhelm you with certainty, but to gently support what your soul already knows. Doors may begin to open without you forcing them. A conversation you thought was closed may suddenly restart. An obstacle that felt permanent begins to dissolve quietly. These changes are subtle but powerful. They are Allah's way of making things easy when the time is right. In the Quran, Allah says, "And we made it easy for them to follow this path." Quran 54:22. When something is meant for you, He will begin to remove barriers. Not all at once, but step by step in His divine way. Even delays themselves can carry signs. You might try to move on, to open your heart to someone else, but something always feels off. Nothing aligns. Nothing gives you the peace you once felt. And the more you try to run from it, the more Allah brings that person back into your orbit, whether through reminders, memories, or actual reappearances. This recurring presence is not always about longing. Sometimes it's confirmation. It's Allah saying, "I have not removed this from your heart for a reason." When everything outside of you starts echoing what's already inside, know this: Allah is not silent. He's simply speaking in a language only your heart can understand. And when the external world reflects what your soul has been sensing all along, it is one of the most undeniable signs that this person may truly be your written spouse. May Allah bless you and guide you to a life filled with mercy, love, and tranquility.